Welcome to another edition of Wizetics Mental Wealth Podcast. We here with another edition, on this November 7th, 2025. The year closing in, closing down. We almost here into 2026. And so today we're talking about why most people fail in life and business and how to make sure you don't. So, for those who really know my story of going through my trials and tribulations that I went through, I went through like where I lost everything. And then I took that setback, which was a major setback. And I took that setback and I bounced back. Those stumbling blocks that I encountered in my life journey early on in my life, in my life journey in my early 20s, went through major setbacks and got, you know, seen major stumbling blocks that I turned to stepping stones. And, that journey from chaos to clarity is something that is straight out of the Wizetics, where life meets business and mindset meets structure. That's how I was able to come up with Wizetics. From my life journey, the things that I went through, and along the way of that journey, as I was traveling through those trials and tribulations, I took the time to invest in myself, took the time to get more educated on life and business. And so, from a life perspective, that's my knowledge of self. That's my foundation of having knowledge of myself. And then from a business standpoint, it's knowing, the right information to intake, digest, and apply to your life. So that's where, reading books, you can take your own education into your own hands from a perspective of reading books, um, magazines, articles, and stuff like that. And then you can also take it to another step of going to college, getting a formal education. And I did both. So that's what basically led me to where I'm at today from, you know, from a journey, my journey from chaos to clarity. So basically, we're going to be talking about, you know, five reasons why people fail. It's like it's just I've realized that it's like five major reasons why people fail. And so one of the reasons are, well, I would say the first reason is the lack of mindset mapping. People have a lack of mindset mapping. What I mean about that is that most people, they have identity crisis. They don't have emotional intelligence. They have a lack of clarity. So a lot of times people don't know what their purpose is. They don't know why they're here. Like, what am I supposed to do in life? What is it that I'm supposed to achieve outside of just, what people say, house, car, career, things like that. That's like the basic framework that society sets as a standard for your purpose. Your purpose is a little bit deeper than that. Your purpose reside in a layer beneath, from, you know, getting educated, finding a partner, or, getting into a relationship, counterparts, um, having a family, having a career, having a home, things like that. That is your real purpose is deeper than that. Now, having those things are a part of your journey through life. These are like necessities um that nourish your existence, your human experience. but the main part of identifying your purpose is from an internal perspective of, what is it that you really, really, really like to do within the boundaries of, righteousness, positive things. And, you know, that's where you're going to basically find um your purpose. But most people don't know their purpose. And so when you don't know your purpose, it's a lack of being able to structure your thoughts in a way where now you can make decisions that is aligned with your purpose. Now you can make more informed decisions. If you don't know your purpose, you will easily be led in the wrong direction. You know how people say, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So that's kind of like that right there. You know, one of the reasons people fail in life and business is the lack of mindset mapping. You know, I challenge you, I challenge my viewers to come up with your own personal mission statement. What's your personal mission statement? Because, in business, when you structuring a business plan, they have a section to say your mission statement. What is your mission? You know, this becomes the pole star of your business. But if you don't have a personal mission statement to be set, it's kind of hard to do that when you don't have a personal mission. A lack of mindset mapping, having your mind mapped, having your mind in purpose, that gives you your internal GPS system. So again, I challenge with your personal mission statement. What's your personal mission statement? And so the second reason why most people fail in life and business is people, they start over, start over, and they never document the process. Hustle feeds you today, systems feed. So you got busy versus productivity. In one of my episodes, I was speaking about how having motion, but is it productive motion? You can be like on a treadmill, moving in place, running in place. You tired. You exerting a lot of energy. You feel like you're doing something, but you're not really going nowhere. And so you hustling, but it feeds you today. And then because you be up one moment, then you're down the next moment. So systems feed generations. So you got to document, you got to delegate, you got to automate. Now you're talking about structure, strategic structure. You got to have a strategic structure. People fail because they don't have a strategic structure. And so I challenge you in this regard, document your process. You go through or been through, and you'll begin to see patterns. Reason why you start and then it don't work, and then you start over and then it don't work. And it's only not working because you're not working it. And what I mean by that is you thing you done before and expecting a different result. Even it might be in a different market. Like you might say, well, um, I'm gonna a restaurant. Or you might say, oh, I'm gonna, get into car dealership. I'm gonna have my own car dealership. Or you might say, I'm gonna deal with commercial cleaning, or I'm gonna have me a barber. And you go to start that business venture, and then you run into challenges. And as soon as you run into these challenges, meaning that you're not making any money doing it, you stop doing that and then you start doing something else. But you didn't pay attention to the processes, the things that you went through that was an experience in the business world of whatever market that you were dealing with, right? You might was not paying attention to certain details of things, which is the process. So you didn't have a structure. You didn't go into it with a system. You went into it with just your passion. I want to do this. I love to do this. I know this is going to work. But you didn't structure a system with it. And you didn't delegate. You didn't build a team with it. You didn't learn how to automate. You didn't, get certain systems in place. And maybe you did and it still didn't work. But my point is that you have to strategically structure and then not give up, because that's really the main thing when it comes to a lot of people in their life and business. They give up, and there's nothing wrong with making a pivot, a shift into another direction, but these things have to be strategic. It can't be based off of a panic of fear. Oh, what am I going to do? And now just let me try this. You looking at something that came across your radar on social media. You were strolling through, or you watching YouTube, or watching a podcast, and you're like, oh, I'm going to try that. It looks like that's something that I could make some money off of. And then you get into that and you try it for a moment and it doesn't work as you thought it was going to work. And then now you give up. But what you might not be realizing is you're repeating the same pattern and you're expecting a different result. Okay. So now the next one, the third one, the third reason why most people fail is poor communication. Poor communication. And the foundation of poor communication is low emotional intelligence. See, if you have emotional intelligence plus clarity, that's like superpowers for real. Like understanding is a clear picture to see things for what they are, not what they appear to be. So understanding comes from you having knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is look, listen, observe. You're able to look at things, observe things, and respect things. Now you speak about what you looked at, observed, and respecting. Yet another part to that is your ability to communicate that in a way where it's being received. So now that's where understanding come in. The person that you are speaking to, that you're communicating with, have to be able to receive what you were saying, to be able to receive what you were talking about. So this is what gives a person to be an effective leader. Because see, without emotional intelligence, you might be trying to express some things that deep inside of yourself you see that is relevant, you see that is necessary. People that you are communicating with might not see that. And then that lack of mutual understanding or agreement, conflict arise in those type of moments. Conflict comes up in between two people in the middle where there's a miscommunication somewhere, or a misunderstanding, or a difference of opinion, or a difference of the outlook is different. And sometimes you could be so passionate about what you see and you want somebody else to see it, and you want somebody else to do what you would like for them to do, or move how you would like for them to move, and they are not. And now it's the conflict going on. So we are talking about these type of relationships with your clients, with your partners, your life partners, your business partners. And so emotional intelligence is what brings about that great communication, because leadership isn't about control, it's about connection. You got to be able to connect with a person. So the emotional intelligence is where you are having the ability to sense what someone else is feeling, to be able to relate. Even if you can't empathize, you can sympathize, right? And it's a difference between sympathizing with someone and having empathy. I'm not really going to go into that right now. Yet, um, another reason why, fourth reason why people in their life and business is they don't have no financial strategy. You don't have a financial strategy, and then strategy first. You got to have financial literacy. And then what I like to really say is financial intelligence. That's when you will really be able to develop a financial strategy, because you would find that it's maybe like 80% or 85% of the population, they are money illiterate. They financially illiterate. They don't know how to budget. They don't know how to reinvest, and they always chasing fast cash. That's usually how the majority of the population operate, which allows a small portion of the population to control a lot of things when it comes to cash, when it comes to financial institutions, and the way these things affect our life. Going into the store, you see things at certain prices, or you're working for someone and you see um the wages that you receive for your time and things like that. But then you step into the business world. Oh, I want to start a business. I'm going to start this, and I can, have my clothing line. I know how to do this, so I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna start my LLC. But you really don't have financial intelligence. You don't have financial intelligence, and then it's okay if you don't have financial intelligence, because the great thing is you had the drive to say you had the will. I'm gonna start a business, and that's a great thing to say. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. Yet it's certain things that you gotta have. You gotta be equipped with certain skill sets outside of just your ambition and being a risk taker. Those are certain characteristics, those are certain qualities that you do have to be a successful entrepreneur. But you also got to have those same type of skill sets in your own life in general, right? And so it has to be backed up with financial intelligence. And then with it being backed up with financial intelligence, that's now you got a financial strategy. So sometimes, even though you might not possess, the technical expertise in economics and, financial uh, uh, um, tools, stocks, bonds, how to deal with business credit, how to deal with real estate. You might not necessarily have expertise in that, but then you have to know where to go look to find those that are subject matter experts on those things, and then equip them, or not necessarily equip them, but connect with them. Going back to the other reason why you got to communicate with them, form a partnership, business relationship, to where now they could provide you with the necessary information, and then y'all communicate together what your mission is. You got to have a mission. Your mission is this, my mission, is this right here, and you let them know what your mission is, and then y'all communicate together on that, and then you come up with a strategy. So this is something that I provide in my credit to capital blueprint, inside my Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure coaching. These are some of the things that we provide our partners, our clients. So, because money doesn't change your habits. Let me say that part. Money doesn't change your habits. It exposes them. When money expose your habits. Money expose your habits. So this is what I was telling one of my brothers the other day. We was on the phone talking, and he was speaking about the lottery, then this, that. And I was like, yo, that's not going to solve any problems for real. Now, you may be able to pay some bills off, but the bills don't stop just because, if you had certain, like a loan or something, you in debt, credit card, that you can pay that off. But yo, the light bill, your phone bill, taxes on your real estate, if you homeowner and stuff like that, car tax, automobile tax, these things keep coming. Insurance, life insurance, health insurance, car insurance, these bills keep coming. So if you don't have the mindset, the discipline, the strategy of budget, how to navigate, you know, money in a way, how to delegate money, how to like drive money, how to utilize money in the proper way, you hitting the lottery and getting a lot of money just increase your problems. That's why they say more money, more problems. More money only become more problems for someone who's not financially intelligent. That's the only time that's going to be more problems, because what it does is it exposes your habits. So if you have certain addictions and then you get more money, now you are able to indulge more in your addictions. That's all the money going to do. The money, you getting more money, just going to have you indulging more in places where you lack discipline, where you have like addictions to things that you spend your money on. That's what more money will do to someone who lacks financial strategy, financial intelligence. Because see, to have financial intelligence, it's not about you just reading some information. That's just becoming financial literate. So let me explain this, why I say financial literacy and financial intelligence is not the same thing. You can become financially literate, meaning that you are aware of the different operations of finances. You know, okay, you got people who know I can open up a bank account, open up a checking account, I can have a CD, I can have a mutual, well, get into mutual funds, I can get into stocks, I can get into bonds, I can get into real estate. You might know that these things are available to you, and you might tap into some of those things to some degree. That's financial literacy. You are literate. You're aware of it, because being illiterate is you ignorant. You don't know about it. You just don't know about it. That's what being illiterate is. You don't know about it. Okay, you financially literate, you know about it. But do you have a plan of action that allows you to benefit off of what you know about finances? That's financial intelligence. You're now able to develop a financial strategy that allows you to benefit off of the information, the knowledge that you know about financing. That's where that comes in at. And again, this is where my credit to capital blueprint and my coaching comes in with my Life-Biz Infrastructure, Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure, uh, coaching and consulting, life and business consulting, life and business coaching, where, sometimes just giving you motivation, giving you some strategies that you can apply to yourself, your life and your business to get you to scale up, or consulting coming in as a partner with what you have going on, become your strategic thinking partner. And, we get busy together, make it happen, scale up, level up, keep moving, constant elevation, embracing challenges, obstacles with the mindset of a conqueror, turning stumbling blocks to stepping stones. That's what we do. So now, the last reason why most people fail in their life and business, which is the fifth reason, is the lack of legacy leadership. You might be saying, well, why? So what does that mean? Like the lack of legacy leadership, what is that? I'm going to explain it to you. Legacy isn't what you leave after you die. Let me say that again. See, most people think that, okay, the legacy is, after I'm no longer here, and the things that I leave behind, that's my legacy. Think about this though. Legacy is what you build while you live. Because you got to build something while you are here in order to leave something behind. But you got to have structure. So it's structure over struggle. Your vision have to be dimensional. You have to have layers to your vision. So you got to be able to look into the past, relate things to the present, and then look into the future. That is vision. Some people think vision is just having an idea. I got this idea. To a degree, that could be vision. But when I'm talking about vision, I'm talking about dimensional vision, meaning that you're able to look into the past. You can look back into the past, relate it to right now in the present, and then look into the future. That's vision. Because now this is in alignment with your purpose. And now we're talking about longevity. We're talking about something that transcends time and space. And I don't want to get too deep yet, you know, basically, um, these are the things that most people fail. You know, you can't scale chaos without structure in your thoughts. Your emotions run your plans, and discipline becomes temporary. This is what it is. Most people try to build wealth or success without first building a mental framework. They chase opportunity but haven't clarified who they are, what they value, or why they move the way they move. So most people fail. I'm going to go a quick summary. They fail from a lack of mindset mapping, no inner infrastructure. They chasing opportunities, like I said, but they haven't clarified who they are, what they value, or why they move the way they move. So this is where you deal with daily reflection, journaling, meditation to help map your internal GPS before you go chasing external goals. You got to have strategic structure. You reactive. You being too reactive. You're not proactive. Many people fail because they operate off hustle energy instead of system energy. They stay busy, but no productivity. Is no productivity really taking place. Like I said, you on a treadmill, running, running, running. You're not really going nowhere. You react to the problems. You react to the problem instead of designing a solution. When the problem hit, you instantly go into panic mode, fight. That's an aspect of just animal instinct. A system saves you from yourself. If you don't have repeatable steps, you don't have a business. You have a grind. So when I'm saying repeatable steps, you got to have a system where this formula right here, right? Got this formula. It's like H2O. It produces water. So you got to document your processes, automate simple tasks, and use tools like CRMs, calendars, and templates to create your flow. This is what Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure provides. We provide those type of tools that allow you to build systems on top of our system. So we already have the system. Life-Biz Infrastructure is a system. So it allows you to integrate your system. If you don't have a system, we show you how to create a system. And now you can tailor make the system for yourself, for what you got going on for your mission. Poor communication and relationship management. Having poor communication and relationship management. So I'm just doing a recap from the 5 reasons why people fail. This is the third one, what I said before. Poor communication. In both life and business, your ability to communicate determines your capacity to connect. And connection is the real currency. Relationships is what business is really about, not just the aspect of money. Money, that's a side effect of the relationships. People fail because they burn bridges, they mismanage expectations, or they fail to build mutual relationships. People don't quit businesses, they quit bad communication. Bad communication. So how do you fix that? You got to master emotional intelligence. Listen twice as much as you speak. And build partnerships based on clarity and shared value, because all money not good money. You can't just be chasing the bag and like, oh, yo, I'm gonna get involved with this situation right here. But there really isn't any mutual alignment. You just see a money opportunity, but it has to be deeper than that. It has to align with your purpose, your mission, your personal mission, your business, your life and business mission. So the fourth one, well, most people fail, is no financial strategy or capital understanding. Many people dream of wealth, but they don't study how money moves. They chase fast income over financial intelligence. They ignore credit, cash flow, and investment cycles. They don't recognize these things. If you can't manage $1,000, you can't manifest 1 million. This is what I had to tell, one of my brothers the other day. Like, you hitting the lottery, really not that don't solve your problem. That you thinking that you have a money problem, yet the money problem is a side effect. Remember, I said money is the side effect of good relationships. When you have good relationships, money becomes the side effect to that. So you got to learn the money game, business credit, asset protection, and reinvestment strategies. Build a budget that tells your money where to go before it disappears. You got to direct your money. You got to be intentional. If not, it goes with the flow of what you feel. And your feelings can be dictated by what you see through marketing, advertising, strolling through social media, on different things, watching different stuff and hearing different sound bites. And now you can be pulled into that. And you got to be more intentional with that. And the last one, the lack of legacy leadership, no long-term vision. Failure often comes from focusing on now instead of the next move. So you like how they say, yo, you playing checkers. You got to get into chess thinking ahead. When your vision ends at profit, your progress ends at pressure. You hear what I just said? Listen, when your vision ends at profit, your progress ends at pressure. What does that mean? That means that what that means is, oh, I got my business, I got my LLC, and I like to do this, and I got my clothing line, I got my barbershop, I got my car detailing, I got my commercial cleaning, and I'm gonna make me some money. I'm gonna get to the bag, yo, get this money like this. Okay, yeah, that's what you're talking about. I'm gonna get this money like this, right? You chasing the money. Your vision is just to make the money. So when the pressure hits you, your progress stops. Whatever progress you started off with, the progress you started off with was you put together your LLC, your articles of organization, or you form your corporation, articles of incorporation. You got your EIN number. You did all of that. That's progress. But you didn't make no money when you did that. That's just putting the foundation down. You just getting a certain infrastructure established. Okay, you got your bank account. You might have did a little website, and you say, "Yo, look what I got! I got my company. I got my business, and I'm selling this, and I got that." And then like one or two people, they get some from you. Usually your family, your friends, associates that's within your immediate network, and they patronize your business. But then now nobody else is doing that. Your vision was on the profit. You're not making a profit right now. So that's when your progress stops. You just give up. And what I said like earlier, you start over, try to find something else to get into. You're just hustling. It's legacy over luck, systems over struggle. So what I'm saying now is you got to define 5-year legacy goals, not just income targets. Income targets are a part of it. Don't get it twisted. Financial goals are a part of building legacy, but that can't be what the vision is just based off of. It has to be secondary, and it's most necessary. It's secondary, but most necessary. The primary thing is having the vision within your mind to be able to see beyond. You be able to look back in the past, relate that past to the present right now, and then look into the future. That's the way you establish legacy leadership. You defining your long-term goals. But long-term goals had to be coming from midterm goals. Midterm goals coming from short-term goals. So you got short-term goals, midterm goals, long-term goals. Impact targets. You got to ask, who becomes better because I existed? See, that's a question you ask. Like, if my business is not around, what would the world lose? If what I establish is not around, what would the world lose? If the principles that I structure and advocate and inspire people by, what would the world lose if these things were not here? What would That's what we're talking about, legacy leadership. Failure isn't final. Just because you fail, that is not the end. It's feedback. See, it's feedback. And so those 5 reasons that I just explained to you of why people fail, right, is where I come in, what I come with, the Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure. This is where we are showing people, we show our partners, we show clients, we show different organizations. I show these people these frameworks right here. Because some people may think they got it, and some people do. But it's more people who don't got it than do got it. Why is that? Think about that. So as I get ready to close, I just want to like key in on something. So I'm kind of like look this way because I want to be, so you know what is the camera? The camera right here, the camera right there, right? So I want to be able to like, look at what I'm about to give you right here, right? So for us who come from underserved communities, coming from underserved communities, um scarce resources, that we look at it like it's scarce resources in our communities, or whatever. And coming from generational poverty, some say generational curses, and all of these things, these are factors. These are shaping factors. They shape and mold certain ways that we do, why, the reason why we do what we do. It's shaping factors to a lot of things in our life. Now, majority of it is coming from just the lack of information and application, the lack of proper information and strategic application. A lot of the things that we are experiencing, such as living from check to check, such as struggling to make certain ends meet, such as having stress, anxiety, and depression, such as toxic relationships, such as justice impacted. These things are all stemming from one thing, and that's the lack of proper knowledge. It said, my people perish from a lack of knowledge. From a lack of knowledge. But what specific type of knowledge? It's a certain type of knowledge that allows you to be able to comprehend all other things. And that's the knowledge of yourself. The knowledge of yourself allows you to be able to comprehend all other things, the proper knowledge of yourself, a thorough knowledge of yourself. And this is the beginning of the real journey into life and business success. This is why the first reason why most people fail is mindset mapping, the lack of mindset mapping, the lack of identity, the lack of intentional purpose. This is the reason why it doesn't matter if you receive $1 million today, you receive a record deal and get an advancement, or you get drafted into professional sports franchises, but you don't have the true knowledge of yourself, which will give you the alignment with your purpose. And so these things is like, they can be taught, you can learn how to develop this if you humble enough to listen to the information. And then another thing is invest in yourself. So let me take it to this part right here. Like I said, I'm gonna look right here to give you something. They talk about the 1%. They say, oh, it's corporate oligarchs that control mass majority of the resources on the planet, and structure systems and legislative policies that create barriers that lock in certain group of people into poverty, class systems that's structured a certain way. This is what we hear. We read about it. You can see certain things from your own life experiences, right? These are realities. We can see some of these things, but we might not be able to connect certain dots to say, okay, this is the effect from this cause right here, or this is what's actually causing this result that I'm seeing over here. Sometimes we might can't see the connection, and sometimes we might not realize what's really going on. But what I'm telling you is this: it's people who have information, it's people who have real knowledge, real useful information that will allow you to be able to navigate through all of this. Because regardless of what you believe in, like, certain people believe in this, certain people believe in that. Some people say, I believe in a higher power. Some people say, I believe in God. I believe in Allah. I believe in Yahweh. I believe in Jah. You got different people who got their spiritual uh, root or spiritual foundation or school of thought of how they pattern their life, or how they base their life decisions off of or strive to. So with that being the case, majority of all those things that I just named, all that above, is based off some type of aspect of positivity, being rooted in certain principles of being righteous, certain principles of being a person of integrity, right? But then it seems like that the people who are considered to be what they saying 1% of the population that's dominating, or controlling the mass resources that's affecting 85%, or whichever way you want to look at it, majority of the population, a small population controlling a large population. What do they know that is allowing them to do that? See, that's what you got to really get into your mind to think about, because it's not just happening, like it's just here. It just so happened to be the roll of the dice, and this is by happenstance or so-called chance. No, what is it that the people that you may call the 1%, some people call them the 10%, what do they know? Because when you understand human behavior, right, in order for you to operate and be successful in whatever you striving to achieve in your life, no matter what level that it exists on, you cannot be successful without having some type of knowledge, some type of information that will allow you to make a decision that produces a result. You with me on that? So you gotta be able to have some type of knowledge, some type of information that will allow, that brings about a certain result. So when we know that if I hit my phone this way, I can turn my phone off, right? That's some information that you gathered through your experience, or somebody just told you. You turn your phone off like this, or you just read the instructions, or you YouTubed and looked at it. I turn my phone off like this. I turn my phone like this. I navigate through my phone like this. It was all information, knowledge. You can go through it with trial and error. So let's say you get a new technology device. You get a new device, whatever it is, a laptop, smart TV, smartphone, whatever. And you don't really know the operations of it. You're looking at it, well, what do I do? It's your first time interacting with this new device. Then they got instructions that come with it. If you can't read and comprehend, the instructions are irrelevant to you that's written down. But we live in a world where information is so vast through different mediums. You can go on YouTube. You can see someone visually explain it right? And show you, yo, you do this like this, like this, because you probably couldn't read the instructions yourself to figure out what to do. And even if you can read the instructions, it still could be kind of like confusing to you. So what you do, you go find something on YouTube that talks about it, or you know somebody who already has this device that you just got, and you ask them, yo, man, how did you, well, how do you do this? Nevertheless, my point is, it's people who know about it that you go to learn about it, or you can just take time to figure it out yourself. But when you take time to figure it out yourself, you lose some time sometimes, because you could be doing something else, but you got time to, and then chaotic with a whole lot of stuff going on. I got to do this, I got to do that, and then you really ain't got time to really even do that. So I don't want to get sidetracked from that part, because the main part is this: what I'm talking about. The people who you say at the top that's controlling a lot of things, that's wealthy, oligarchs and all of that. You hear people talking all about that stuff like that, right? Earn Your Leisure, that's a nice platform. Wall Street Chapter, you got those individuals, 19 Keys, John Bryant, Myron Gold. You got these individuals, they kicking a lot of stuff. They're giving you a lot of information. They're providing a lot of useful information. You still got to use it though. Even though they provide the information, you still got to take the initiative yourself, the knowledge of yourself. You still have to use it and apply it. And it might not work the same way it worked for someone else. So it's up to you to be able to take this information and apply it for what it's meant to be used for. But before you can do all of that, see, it's something before that. You have to discover your purpose as an individual. You have to go within yourself, within your mind. You have to figure out, what is my purpose? When you figure out your purpose, now you know how to fit all this other stuff into your way, where you know how to best part for yourself. You don't care about this poor part of it. This information over here, it doesn't relate to my purpose. So most of the time you get a wide spectrum of information. Like, it's a lot of things that people might be talking about within one segment. Like in this podcast, I'm talking about a lot of different things that's all tied to one thing, which is 5 reasons why people fail. Yet sum it all up, the reason why people fail is from a lack of proper knowledge of self. Those 5 things that I spoke about is the side effect. This is the reason why these other 5 things comes into play. Is because you don't have a lack of knowledge of self, which is mindset mapping. Your mind ain't mapped with a purpose, so therefore you have no way of structuring things in your life to know how to communicate and build good relationships, so forth and so on, so forth and so on. That's what that's about. That's why I wanted to look at this way, because earlier I was looking there at this form of the camera. I wanted to look here because check this out. The people that you say that's at the top, they know something. They know something, right? They got some information. Where did they get that information from? What allowed them to do what they do? You can say, oh, it's because they knew somebody. It's who they know. It's not, it's about who you know, to a degree. Because check this out. What you know connects you to who you know, if it's not somebody that's in your family that you related to in that fashion. If you just go out into the world and you formulate a a connection with people, right? That came from you knowing something and communicating with them, and you form a relationship, or somebody can introduce you to somebody. Just because somebody introduced you to somebody, that first introduction is based off a reference of that individual who introduced you to the other person. You still have to nurture that relationship based off your communication. The way you communicate, the way you interact with the individual determines what is the status of that relationship. Does it remain to grow? Does that relationship remain to grow? or does that connection deteriorate? Because first, it's not really a relationship. When somebody introduces you to somebody, now you have to communicate, they have to communicate, y'all have to talk to each other. And now, is it any common ground for any further communication? Do we communicate any further from this introduction? Meaning that later on, do like each other, contacting of each other. It will all be based off of whatever it is that you see for yourself, that you look at this other person that could help you achieve that. It don't always have to be something material. It could be, oh, I like the way this person communicates. When we communicate, I like the conversation. I like the experience that we have when we are conversating. And so now, if it's a business type of thing, it's like, okay, this person has certain information that, I can learn from, or they know something that can connect me to someone or something that I could use based off what I see for myself. And that person is seeing something with that you may have that allows them to say, okay, yeah, because now we're dealing with a mutual exchange. This is a mutual exchange right here. But what do the people at the top know? That's my main point right now. What do they know that allow them to do what they do? Because they know something and they doing something. And let's say this: if you knew it, do you think you could do it? If you knew what they know, do you think that you could do what they are doing? If you knew what they know? Because some people that have reached these levels, they just came on the scene. Some people talk about the Rockefellers, the Carnegie families, the Vanderbilts, and all this like legacy from the robber baron era of industrial revolution timeframes, and all the way up to the era that we live in now, the era of AI. You have some people who became rich in the era of AI. You have some people who became rich in the era of the internet, the dot-com bubble or whatever, right? Some people became, where did Jeff Bezos come out from? Where did Mark Zuckerberg come from? We don't hear a lot now. I don't know their whole full background, their family connections and things like that. But, nevertheless, they still were able to establish something that became a $1 billion enterprise. And that might not be your goal. That might, everybody say, oh, I want to be a billionaire. Yet, it's certain levels of legacy leadership. It's certain things that you have to put as a part of your mission that will allow you to have a great experience of living, to extract out of life love, peace, and happiness, or to just experience in life love, peace, and happiness. Do you have to be a millionaire to experience love, peace, and happiness? No, you don't have to be, right? However, you're going to have to scale up, because even though you could be a millionaire, you still got to be able to know how to maintain what you have, and how does it be effective with the social capital, meaning that everybody has a responsibility to everything that's going on within society. No one is exempt. We all live in the same society, so no one is exempt. And that's another thing, which I'm not going to get into today, when we talk about the social capital. What is your responsibility to society as an individual, as a business, in your life and as your business? What is your responsibility to society? Or do you think you have a responsibility for society outside of you and your family? And so that's another thing. So mental wealth, Wizetics mental wealth, we this is coming to a close today. 5 reasons why most people fail. um You can get Wizetics on all the major platforms. My book, Wizetics, you can find it on all major platforms that sell books: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, et cetera, et cetera. You want to get in contact with me, the number's at the bottom: 1-888-704-0864. You can follow me, wizenetworks.biz. I'm on social media, AllahKing Wize, Wize Consultancy Global. That's where you can find me at on social media. Anybody want to interact, partner up, build relationship, life and business, expansion, excel, because we come from underserved to unstoppable. Legacy over luck. Peace.